only have you all come to learn about the company Atomy, which will rewrite the history of network marketing, but will also be introduced to Atomy's worth one by one. Rather, Atomy will confidently compete in terms of quality and price with discount stores, TV home shopping, and online shopping malls where consumers buy daily necessities without commission, by being a business that sells the products at a lower price. In terms of the overall business, the management is both legal and ethical. When we process the payment to our suppliers, we are never late, and we immediately pay them in cash. So, compared to other companies, the management is much more virtuous. In regards to paying taxes, we actually ask of our staff and employees to make sure not to sweep anything under the rug. Atomy will continue to not only establish itself as a company that people will respect, but also become the leader in making it happen. If we're able to show that Atomy can do well with these methods, I believe that other MLM companies will follow suit, and that the history of network marketing will be rewritten. From this point on, we cannot lose our foothold, and we need to devote ourselves to this cause. This is the company that you're learning about. Since you've gotten to know this tool, known as Atomy, you should be asking yourself, how can I succeed? And the question is why there aren't a lot of people who have succeeded. There was a person by the name of Andrew Carnegie. Although he was born into a poor family, he was able to become wealthy and establish the Carnegie Foundation. In his old age, he began to wonder, I was born into a poor family, but if I was born into a different poor family, would I still be able to succeed? After thinking about it, he was 100% sure that he would. Even if he was born 10 times in 10 different families, he would be successful every single time. So he thought about why most people couldn't succeed, and he asked himself, why can't they succeed? And he realized that it was because they didn't know the laws of success. Thus, he thought it was necessary to share the laws of success. From the time we are born to when we are 30 years old, we prepare for life by studying. We work from the ages of 30 to 60. Do we work half-heartedly or diligently? Everyone does their best to live well. Afterward, we live out our retirement until 90 or so. Even though we prepared and worked for 30 years each, in the end, only 1% of all the people in the world became successful. Essentially, they're rich and wealthy. 4% of the world's population became financially independent. These people weren't rich, but they didn't need to seek financial help from others. 15% of the people pass away. 10% of the people are living paycheck to paycheck. And the remaining 70% of the people were living in retirement without any money or job. 99% of the people failed in life, and only 1% were able to achieve success. If you look at those around you, you kind of get this feeling, right? So the question is, how did the 1% succeed? And why did the other 99% fail? Carnegie's answer was, it's because they don't know the laws of success. If 100 people knew the laws of success, then all 100 people would be successful. Since they can't become successful without it, I need to let people know about it. And that is when the laws of success were first presented. But these principles and laws aren't something that just anyone could create. Now, Stephen Covey described the law as the true north principle, which states that north is already predetermined. Therefore, the laws of success are also fixed. Everyone take out your pointer finger. Point in the direction of north. Which way is it? Where? Everybody's pointing in different directions. It seems many of you are suggesting that this way is north. Following the majority rule, we'll go ahead and say that this is north. Does this mean that this is north? Well, we can't really be certain, right? How would we check? We would need to use a compass. Yet, even before we use the compass, north is already fixed. The compass will only help us identify which way it is. Likewise, The laws of success are also predetermined. So if you follow the laws, you succeed. And if you don't, you will fail. Again, this isn't something that anyone can just make up. Instead, it's a fixed law, like the laws of nature. It's already predetermined, right? If you were farming but went against these laws, you would never be successful in your harvest. Thus, many people compare these laws to the law of farming. The law of farming states that you must follow the laws of nature when you are farming. I will use the law of farming to explain about the laws of success, as it will be easier for you to understand if we use a farmer cultivating a field as an example. So, what is the first thing that the farmer does? Many people have different answers for this, but the first thing that a farmer needs to do is decide how much of what to harvest. If you were to harvest sweet potatoes, you'll need land. However, with rice, you need rice paddies. Therefore, you need to know how much of what to harvest first in order to decide if you need land for rice paddies or a sand field for peanuts. Depending on what you're going to harvest, the decisions regarding what you need can be determined. The farmer needs to answer two questions: what and how much will I harvest? So, even though you actually plant the seeds and then you harvest them afterward, the farmer still needs to determine what he will harvest first. When you're cultivating your farm of life, you would answer the what will I harvest by envisioning in your mind the kind of person that you want to be in your final days. Once the farmer answers in his mind how much of what to harvest, he will be able to make the necessary decisions. This process is actually known as MBO, which stands for Management by Objectives. With the MBO process, you make your decisions based on your objectives. Essentially, you make decisions based on what you will harvest. Although not many people apply this to their own lives, major institutions like companies and governments carefully follow and utilize this management process. Yet, this process has not been implemented in our individual lives. If the farmer didn't have 10 bags of rice in his mind, there wouldn't be any bags of rice in storage, right? So, where does the 10 bags of rice come from? It came out of the farmer's head and into the storeroom. The image of your successful self must also be created in your mind in order for other people to see you succeed when it's actualized 3 to 5 years later. Now, the question is, in what ways will you be successful? How? We, as humans, have flesh, our physical body. We also have something called a spirit. There's something similar to the spirit, which is called the soul. And finally, we're surrounded by the environment. Each of these have their own desires, which is why this is so complicated. On top of being complex, all of these desires need to be fulfilled. Now, the flesh would desire something like good health, right? It would want a long life as well. And finally, it desires a luxurious and secure life where you don't have to worry about basic needs. We can sum this up as live well. The spirit, it's not the same as our soul. We're actually differentiated from the animals due to the spirit. Animals don't have a spirit, and they only have a soul. It's very difficult to tell the difference. But the spirit deals with morals and ethics. It also has the concept of time. The spirit has a perception of time. Animals do not have a sense of time. We are able to realize when I die, my life will come to an end. We're able to look back on our past and think about our future. Human beings have this ability to transcend time, as we can freely travel back and forth between the past and future. Additionally, the spirit desires to receive and give love, which stems from our Creator. The spiritual ability allows us to truly be satisfied when we not only receive love from our Creator, but when we give love to Him as well. Now, the soul is something that even the animals have. Our feelings of happiness, sadness, anger, and joy come from this. Thus, the soul desires to live a life that is full of peaceful feelings. It also has the desire to learn. Finally, for the environment, we have a desire to contribute to it. The reason we want to contribute to the environment is because we not only utilize the benefits offered by nature and society, but we want to leave a good impact on them as well. If you were going to die without giving back to other people and to the environment, you would have thoughts like, I was such a useless person, and I only lived for myself and didn't try to do anything beneficial, which can later become something you deeply regret. And that's why you need to contribute in life. We are human beings because we have a spirit, a soul, and flesh that is surrounded by the environment. Now, the goal of having a life where all four of these conditions are satisfied and the image of that life must be in your mind first in order to make it a reality 3 to 5 years from now. The second line of Atomy's motto is create the vision, right? What this is saying is that you need to have the image of your successful self in your mind. You need to make and have a vision. The vision that you create should be similar to the farmer picturing the 10 bags of rice or the 2 bags of peanuts in his mind, in order to determine what needs to be done to get the rice or peanuts into his storeroom in the fall. It is very important to have an image of your successful self in your mind. Thus, the meaning behind create the vision is to have that image of yourself in your mind. Unless you have a complete picture of yourself being successful in 3 to 5 years in your mind, your life 3 to 5 years in the future will be no different from what it is right now. You are only living the life that you don't want to right now because 3 to 5 years ago, you did not have an image of the life that you wanted in your mind. That's why you don't like your current life. You must have the image of the life you want to live in your mind. You might want to have a healthy life, right? You can become healthy by making plans to exercise. You also need to try and live a long and luxurious life, which means you need to have money in the bank, a house to live in, a car that you want to drive, and even donate as well. All of these things must be planned out. However, these four are not separate elements. They're actually all connected. We all have flesh, which wants to live well. Live well. Our soul wants to learn. The spirit wants to love. And finally, we have the environment. The environment is where we contribute in life. When these four are equally achieved, you would be living a balanced life. And you have to achieve it. Now, according to the law of the minimum, if your life becomes unbalanced, for example, by not being healthy, then your life will become unhappy due to your health. If you're healthy but don't have money, that can also cause misery. Now, when you have money and everything else, but if you got there by lying and going against your conscience, then your life will only ever be as good as that lowest level. Thus, you need to live a life where all four of these elements are satisfied equally. Now, these four areas are actually in harmony together and not separate, so it becomes meaningless if you focus on them individually. For example, there are people who say, what good is just living well? However, you need to live well because of the people you love. If you're poor, then your children, your spouse, and your parents who pass away after worrying about you are affected, as they will have to deal with it as well. This could lead to your children worrying about it, and then even committing suicide because they can't overcome that difficulty. Even if they don't commit suicide, they might become downtrodden, disappointed, and weak. If you really want to give them strength, then you need to live well. And to do that, you need to learn. Everything stems from living well. People who are weak are like that because they lack love. With a tool like Atomy, your academic background, your looks, your age, your capital, your experience, and your skills don't matter as long as you have the passion. Atomy provides the ladder that will lead you to success. However, there are still people who don't try, and that's because they lack love in their hearts. Your thoughts need to be, do whatever you want with me. I am ready to sacrifice anything for my loved ones, as long as there is a way for us to live well. I am ready to do whatever it takes to get there. That's how ready your heart should be. Are your hearts and minds prepared? Your answers lack energy. Are you ready? Yeah. You need to live well for the people you love. I married my wife because I love her very much. I followed her around for a year before marrying her. I worked as a salaried employee and I quit after 17 years because there was no retirement plan. So I started my own business. I started an online shopping mall, but it went bankrupt after 3 years. My house and my car got repossessed. We had to move into a small rental apartment and had very little to eat. I contracted a liver disease and my diabetes got worse. My doctor friend told me that I had to stop working as well. Since I couldn't go out and make money, my wife had to work. But do you know how much she got? She could only make $1,500 a month. In Korea, a woman who's in her 50s can't make much more than that. So she would take what she made and paid our rent. With whatever was left, she would use it to make lunch for the kids and to send them to school. One day, I came home and it was really cold. So I told her to turn on the heater since it was so cold. And she just said, "You don't think I know that?" That was her response to my request, which meant that she too was shivering from the cold and that she could have it turned on if I was making money. I responded with, "You don't need to save money when you don't have any, so turn it on." And that's when the world around her collapsed. My wife, who would just laugh it off before, started telling me how to do my choices and my actions. We were in this situation where we had to live in this cold, small rental apartment. Our relationship got worse as we continued to argue. It got to the point where my wife said, "Dear, let's separate after the kids graduate." Now, my wife is someone who does what she says. When I heard these words, my world came tumbling down. My knees became weak and I fell to the ground. I grabbed onto my wife's leg and I couldn't stop crying. I told her, "Please don't leave. I can't just let you go like this. If you go now, you don't have a house to live in or funds for retirement. How are you going to survive? If you're going to leave, at least wait until I can give you a house and money for your retirement. I can't let you leave like this, so please don't leave just yet." All she said to me was, "When?" I have now bought her a house and put retirement money into her personal account. So these days, she never mentions about leaving. Actually, we're never apart at home. I massage her legs, her feet, and her shoulders. We argue about who will massage who. Our sons tell us, "You guys are too much." We're living really well now. Thus, you need to live well, especially for the people that you love. This genuine passion that you need for success comes from the combination of these three elements. If you don't have any passion, that means your love has cooled. You need to do whatever it takes to reignite the dying embers so that the fire of your love can burn and fuel your passion. Your thoughts need to be, "I must live well for my loving children and for my husband who sacrifices everything for his family by working long hours." You have to be able to tell your husband from now on or in 2 years, "I'll let you rest." Someone told me about a song he hated because the lyrics went, "Hey, Dad, please cheer up. You have us to back you up." He couldn't understand what more they wanted because he was doing everything he could. Instead of singing the song, you need to change the lyrics. "Hey, Dad, you did your best. Just rest and we'll take care of everything." Think about how happy the fathers would be like that. Add, "You just need to wait 3 years. So if you could do the laundry and clean while I go out and do some work, okay, honey?" After that, you can say, "You'll have to iron your own shirts and let him take charge of the home duties." Anyway, you need to create the life that you want and play it like a movie in your mind. This movie should be about the life that you want to live, where you are healthy and lively, needs to be in your head. You need the image of the car that you will be driving, the way you will help and treat your friends when you see them, and the way you will take care of your relatives must all be in the movie that's playing in your mind. The house, the car, the trip that you want, and the way that you can support your parents need to be created in your mind. After organizing these thoughts, you need to make your own movie. As long as the movie is made well, it can all become a reality. Someone asked me, if I just envision it, does it really become reality? If you could create it clearly in your mind, you will definitely realize it. There is actual scientific evidence because our body can't differentiate between imagination and reality. Let's do a small experiment. Imagine that I am feeding you the sweet and sour red seeds of a ripe pomegranate into your mouth. As you chew on the seeds, the sweet and sour juices of the aromatic pomegranate fill your mouth. What happened? You just salivated, right? You might want to go to the hospital if nothing happened. As human beings, when we imagine things, like eating pomegranate seeds, our body will react as if we actually ate it. There are many scientific cases that can prove this. Here's a simple example. Most of you are still tired when you wake up, right? So for those of you who feel like your body is heavy and sluggish, I have a quick and easy one-step remedy for you. One way would be to take Hemohim, but this remedy is actually more effective. Imagine that you receive $30,000 every month in your bank account. How would you feel? Would your body feel heavy like a rock or light as a feather? You'd actually be cured of almost any illness, and your immune system would just be through the roof. All of this can happen if you can get $30,000 a month. Our bodies will have the same reaction, whether you genuinely received it or if you truly believed that it would happen. Instead, you need to vividly envision yourself as a person who makes $30,000 to $50,000 a month and truly believe that you do. You need to picture yourself already driving the Mercedes-Benz, living in a 5-bedroom home that is 330 square meters, giving help to your friends in need, supporting your siblings, and letting your children study whatever they want. Even though these are only images in your mind and are not yet a reality, your own 2 feet must stand by what is not visible. Again, our third motto is follow the faith. You have to stand by what is not visible in order to gradually bring the current reality to that vision. Your dream is what makes this work, and it will drive you to achieve it. You won't be able to achieve anything without a dream. So you must have a dream and create your vision. This is entirely different from having a delusion. If you think that it's possible, it will become a belief because a belief is having faith in your thoughts. When you say that someone has conviction, it is because that person believes it will become a reality. Belief can create miracles. From the beginning, I believed that Atomy would become a global company and that we would become the #1 MLM company in Korea. Atomy will be a big business and a global company. Miracles are created by faith. You have to envision yourself earning $30,000 to $50,000 a month in your mind and truly believe it. Once you do, your expression, Your speech, your eyes, and your actions will change accordingly. This is why you must have a vivid image of this in your mind. After that, you need to follow the faith. Thus, you need to create a movie and continuously play it over and over in your mind. Now, to create your movie, you need to have a scenario. And you will be writing your life scenario. In this scenario, there's a big circle like this and smaller circles where you can fill in items. After that, you need to score yourself on a scale of 10. When you connect them, you get your wheel of life. If your wheel is jagged and rough, it won't roll easily, right? When all these areas become 10 points and then connect the dots, you get a big round wheel. Thus, you need to write ways on how you can make them all 10s in these boxes. There are 3 tricks you need when writing these. The first one is to be clear. You need to be as clear and concrete as possible. So it is best to write everything, like the color of the car, the number of rooms, or even an exact address. The second is to have a deadline. Finally, the last one is the amount. You need to know how much it costs before you can decide if you will get it. You write the details about your children's education and filial duties, and instead of thinking that $200 or $300 is enough spending money for parents, you should be giving them living expenses. Send them $2,000 to $3,000 so that they can maintain a rich life, pay any medical fees, and even go places with their friends. This is what fulfilling your filial duties is all about. So, if you took an estimate of this, you would need at least $30,000 to $50,000 a month to fully realize your life scenario. However, the majority of people think, I would be happy if I could just make $3,000 to $7,000 a month. Would you be rich with only $3,000 to $7,000 a month? Would you call that a successful life? From my experience, it's impossible to achieve success like that. Actually, those who make $3,000 to $7,000 work the hardest. There are also many people who mistake that making lots of money is difficult. Actually, most people think this way. But in truth, making a huge amount of money isn't really that hard. It's actually the opposite. Those who make a small amount have it worse. If you had someone who made $1,000 to $2,000 and another who made $10,000 to $20,000 and yet another who made $100,000 to $200,000, who would have it the hardest? The one who makes $1,000 to $2,000 has to work the hardest. We were also taught to budget our expenses based on income, right? They say that you can avoid bankruptcy as long as you keep your income equal to or greater than your expenses. Yet, those who do this are the ones who are poor. You can't become rich by saving money. It's the reverse. Instead of budgeting expenses based on your income, you need to first determine your expenditures like this. After you make an estimate, you need like $30,000 to $50,000, and you need to go find a job where you earn that amount. You don't need to search any further because it's possible with Atomy. If you go to other success lectures, they'll also tell you to calculate expenses and then find a job that can cover them. Now at Atomy, we even provide a way to achieve it, so none of you have to worry about that. Thus, your income needs to be based on your expenses. If you truly believe that you will be a person who earns $30,000 to $50,000 a month, and you are certain that you'll be living that life, your life attitude will change. And that will allow you to achieve it. This is what the laws of success are. So, you need to set a goal of who you ultimately want to be first, and work towards achieving it. Thomas Edison invented the light bulb, right? Before that light bulb came into this world, it was first switched on inside Edison's head. After experimenting several thousand or 10,000 times, the light bulb that was shining in Edison's mind came into being in the real world. All the laws of success are like this. When Henry Ford was making the car, he also thought about the roads that his car would use. He realized that he could make the car cheaper through mass production, and that he would need a conveyor system for it to work. This eventually revolutionized the transportation industry. All the people who achieve success envisioned their successful selves in their minds first. So what needs to be in your mind? You need to create a fabulous movie of yourself, living the successful life that you want. You need to be able to fall head over heels for it. A movie that is so splendid that if you could achieve it, you would do anything to make it happen. You have to make a movie that doesn't discount anything, and you would be completely satisfied with its content. When you have this in your mind, your body will be as strong as any superhero. Once that exciting life of earning $50K a month is envisioned in your mind, the way you walk will become different. Do you think you'll be sluggishly dragging your feet? Of course not. If you believe that you'll get $50,000 a month, you'll be going so stylish. Yeah? And as you strut around with confidence, you need to change yourself with your vision like this. You also need to be standing above your vision until the day that you achieve it. Belief is not having faith in the seen. As long as you have faith, you will achieve it. Thus, you can't wake from that dream or vision. I'll end on that note. Thank you for listening.